everybody, welcome to another Thursday Tips and Tricks. We're going to interrupt our series on tuckerizing, which is learning how to use Studio 180 design tools as you work with other people's projects and patterns to answer a few frequently asked questions that have been coming in since we started the series on tuckerizing. So let's just jump right in. The first question and the most asked question is, Deb, how do I know whether Studio 180 Design has a tool or a process to make a different unit? That's that recognize that we had to talk about. Well, we have a solution to that. If you go to our website and you go to our free downloads page, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a printout, a guide there that you can print out. And it's our basic unit guide. And this is going to help you take a look at the units that you see in a pattern or a project, identify the unit and what we call that shape, and then it will also give you the name of the tool that we use to create that shape and whether or not there's a technique sheet associated with that shape. Now, don't let the colors fool you, okay? Because that's not what this is all about. It's the lines. It's a square that has the lines going this way, or it's a rectangle. And take a good look at the shape and then use this. And then I'm going to suggest, after you've recognized and identified what we call a certain shape, take a few minutes and go to our free video page. And there you'll be able to see an educational video on how to create, say, a unit like the shaded four patch. How we create that shaded four patch unit. Strip piecing, oversize, and then compare how we do that to how the pattern writer for the project that you're making, how they're telling you to do it. You know, remember, knowledge is power. If you know two different ways to do things, then what you can do is you can pick the process that's going to work the best for you. So this covers all of our basic tools. It also covers our more specialized tools like the Wedge Star and the Star 60 and the Lemoyne Star, and some of the great different looks that we've added to those shapes. So that's the number one question that comes in all the time. The second question that tends to come in all the time is, Deb, how much extra fabric do I need to buy in order to be able to tuckerize a project? Generally speaking, because we upsize such a small amount to use Studio 180 design tools, generally speaking, you're not going to have to add anything to the vast majority of patterns that are out there. There are exceptions to that, and if there's any question in your mind, an eighth of a yard to a quarter of a yard is generally all that you will need. But again, I've talked to shop owners who have used Studio 180 design tools with lots of customers. They tell me that the yardages that are in most patterns is always adequate for using Studio 180 design tools. Now, there is another question that comes up with regards to yardage, and that is, can I use Studio 180 design tools with kits? And that is very dependent on who and how your kit is built. If your kit that you've purchased for a project is pre-cut, you know, I'm basically going to say you probably are not going to be able to use Studio 180 design tools because everything is cut precision, presuming that you're going to be able to do all those precision construction steps. If your kit is built with yardage, it depends on who built your kit. Now, for example, I bought two kits in my life. One of them, that if I was off a half an inch, you know what? I was out of fabric. I didn't have enough to be able to actually create the project. The second kit that I bought had 3 extra yards of fabric that I purchased that I didn't need for the project. Now, I'd rather have that than not have it, but it depends on who's building your kit. So you may want to go right to the builder, contact them directly and say, how much extra, or is there any extra built into your kit for me to be able to do oversizing and trimming down? So again, it all depends on who's creating and who's writing and who's developing the projects that you're wanting to make. Now, there's one other question that has been coming in regarding yardages, and it has to do with quilters who are starting to design their own projects. They're starting to play with those units and create blocks and creating different projects. And all I can tell you is there's no magic pill there either. It's just good old-fashioned math. What you're going to need to do is the same thing that we do when we make quilt designs. I start at the end. What do I want to end up with? What units are involved? What size shapes do I need to cut to make those units? And then how many of those starting squares or starting shapes can I get out of each strip of fabric? It's not magic, it's just good old-fashioned math. But I know that's one of the reasons that so many of you are hooked on patterns. And, our patterns, we do all that math. We also test all that math. Every pattern goes through a lot of our certified instructors' hands-on trial and errors. And before it goes to print, we know right away that we're giving you the correct amount. Plus, we usually build in about an extra eighth, which is about 4.5 inches, or a quarter, which is an extra 9 inches of fabric, so that if you make a mistake, you've got plenty to be able to create your projects. And speaking of patterns, for those of you who are designing your own, go for it. Good for you. But if you're still interested in purchasing patterns, we have a couple of new ones out there. Our Tranquility line of fabric just came out with Island Batik. These quilts that you see here are a couple of our newer patterns. This one's called Bougainvillea. It was designed by my assistant, Sarah Fuhrer, and it uses the Corner Pop 3 and the Tucker trimmer. And this is a quilt that I designed. It's called Arizona Highlands, and it uses a boatload of our tools. It uses the Tucker trimmer, but it also uses the V block. It uses the square, it uses the diamond Rex, and it uses the 4-patch square. So it gives me an opportunity to dig into that good, hearty, well-supplied toolbox and create some beautiful quilts. And we have one more here that I'm going to share with you. This is a remake of a pattern that's been on the market for a while. This is called Galaxy, and this is the smallest version. It's just about ready to head off to the machine quilter, but I thought I'd share it with you too. Another beautiful version of a project that was originally made with blues and rust. So hopefully that's going to answer some of those questions, whether you've asked it or not. You may have come up against it in the last couple of weeks. And we're going to pick up 2 weeks from now with another Tuckerizing video. We're going to be working with what we call the combination unit. And if you want to see more about that, you can take a look at some of those free videos to see what we do and how we build our combination units. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care, everybody.